Hey everyone, welcome to another one of our videos. Today we got another Raptor video for you, and that is going to be replacement of the third brake light on my 2011 F-150 Raptor. This truck has a pretty gross yellowed third brake light, not leaking thankfully, but I want to go ahead and replace it with a new one. I'm probably going to restore that old one and keep it as a spare, because these are not super cheap by any means. So the part number from Ford is AL3Z-13A613-G. You can also get, I believe, a Dorman version of this that, in fact, Dorman may be the OEM for these. But you can get that as well for a little bit less money. So, opening up the third brake light, comes in a little Ford bag there, and some foam wrapping. And if you have one of these trucks, you're going to have seen this on your truck a million times. It's pretty straightforward. This is what the third brake light looks like. So it just screws in with 2 screws in each one of those holes. It's got a foam gasket pre-applied to the back. This is stuck on. And then it's got the wiring harness right here. Bulb sockets there. And it actually comes with 2 brand new bulbs installed, ready to rock and roll. So this is the complete assembly that you're going to need to just plug and play and let her rip with a new brake light on your truck. So I'm going to go ahead, head over to the truck, show you how to remove the old light and get it disconnected, and we'll go ahead and throw this guy in. Alright, so you can see this is the old third brake light, nice and yellow, leaves stuck all on the top. Not in the greatest of shape. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and take a Phillips screwdriver and get in there, take those 2 screws out. Those are all that's holding this third brake light in, and I'm going to pull it out and show you what we're going to do next. You can see that we have the third brake light out now, and if we look down in here, unfortunately we don't see any connector. I'd read on forums on a couple threads that all you need to do is pull the lights out, or the light out, and that you'll have access right here to everything that you need. But it looks like we're going to need to go inside and pull down the back side of the headliner, which isn't too bad, but I was hoping that we'd have access up in here. Unfortunately it looks like we don't, so I'm going to go ahead and hop in the truck and then we'll show you how to pull down the back side of the headliner. I'm hoping we just need to pull down the center, which doesn't involve removing C-pillars and everything. If we have to remove those, then that's going to be a significantly bigger process than I thought this would be, but we'll see where we get. All right, so we're here inside the truck now. We're looking from the back seat towards the back window right there. And you can see we have 1 headliner clip there, 1 headliner clip over here. Apologies for the darkness. I'm in the garage, my truck's tinted dark, and I've got my cover flipped up over the back window right now. So I'm hoping that all we need to do is pull those out, because otherwise we have to go over to the C-pillars and pull those guys out, and that's not a huge process, but not super fun either. So hoping for the best here, and we'll see where we get with just pulling these down and hoping to wiggle my hand up in here. All right, so I was able to get the brake light unplugged, and you can see I took the C-pillar down on that side, the door seal down too, to let the headliner have some slack. And the way I was able to do it, it would be a lot easier if my back window opened to start with. Mine is broken, so it doesn't open. But what I ended up having to do was from in here, reach my hand up like this, up and around back, which is a tight squeeze against the window. And I was able to get the clip, which was on, if the connector is sitting like this, the wiring comes in down through the headliner, comes over and around, and the connector plugs into the other connector this way, so across the width of the truck, so it's facing widthwise. So I was able to pull my hand up in there, and then using one of my fingers, pull the little release tab on the connector, which I'll show you in a second once we get it out of the truck. Pull the release tab, and then using my other hand and this hand, I was able to pull it off. So I should be able to pull that connector free through the little access hole up top and then feed the new one down. And I'm sure it's going to be a pain to reconnect it, but I should be able to get it reconnected as well. So we'll go ahead and head on outside, back to the outside of the truck, and get the rest of that done. So here on the outside, I should be able to just simply pull this guy through. Look at that, I got it out. So what I was talking about before, you can see how this kind of wraps around, and it actually wrapped, I think it would actually be this way. So I went in and just plugged in like this, and what I was able to do is reach around and grab this tab right here, the release tab, with my finger and pull the thing apart. So old brake light's out. What I'm going to do now, before I do anything with the new one, is clean up this whole area. I have to paint correct this whole truck. I'm sure you can see the roof is a little bit nasty and gross. But I'm not going to do the whole roof right now. I'm just going to do the area around the third brake light and along the back window as well to get that all cleaned up. So I'm going to do that. Totally optional for you, but we'll come back once that's done. We're ready to put in the new light. Okay, so we've got the tail light housing area on the truck all cleaned up and everything, and I've got my wax or sealant on there curing right now. So I'm working on kind of some of the ancillary parts that are needed to reinstall. And one thing that's going to actually hold me up a little bit, and I'm going to have to finish this another day, is the little seal on these screws. So upon closer inspection, the screw that holds the tail light the third brake light into place, just a little self tapper that goes into the metal clips that I'll show you on reinstallation, has a little seal on there. And this one's all torn up. The other one's not quite as bad, and you can kind of see the black seal on the screw right there. But I'm still going to replace them both. I'm just going to replace them with some O-rings. But what I don't have is O-rings that are sized correctly for these screws. So I'm going to have to go get some. Store's not going to have them today, or it's not going to be something that I can go get at a store today, I should say. So I'm going to go and see what I can find and get something ordered or whatever needs to happen and come back once I have those. So I'm just getting everything buttoned up as much as I can. I'm going to put the interior back together and everything from what we took apart. But I want to make mention of this. Whenever I first put the brake light in, I plugged it in, and before I put anything back together, I just wanted to make sure it functioned. The brakes worked perfectly. Everything worked perfectly except for the cab lights, or the bed lights, whatever you want to call them. Those just didn't light up for some reason. And they continued to not, even after opening and closing doors and everything. So I actually pulled out this light, put in the old one just to make sure that was, to see if this was a defective light. Old one started showing the same exact symptoms. So what I ended up doing is basically, with the old one still in, turned on the key, went through all the menus, made sure that there wasn't anything going on, make sure there wasn't any warnings on the dash, nothing, opened up the door, and the truck worked. So what I did was put this one back and had the same symptoms where it didn't turn on and nothing functioned properly for these two lights. So I did the same thing where I went through all the menus in the dash, made sure that the auto lamp on and off for entry exit was set the way that I wanted it to be. I have set it 30 seconds. Made sure that every other setting was okay, no warnings on the dash again. Opened up the door after probably a minute or so of scrolling through menus. Works just fine. So I think that there's something to do with the truck having to recognize that a new lamp is installed for some reason. I'm not sure what that is. There's a lot of bulb light out systems in a lot of vehicles nowadays. I honestly don't know if this truck has one because I've never had a light go out on me while I've been driving or anything, or at all. But maybe it's something to do with that and having to basically through a CAN bus system pulse the bulbs and make sure that the bulbs are actually there, that they're functioning and lighting. I don't know. Again, the LED side of things worked just fine right off the bat. It's the cab lights that didn't work. So now they do. And once I get those O-rings, I'm going to be ready to put this taillight back into the truck. But for now, it's just going to sit up here and be nice and happy sitting on top of a towel. So I'm going to go inside, show you what I ended up doing for all the disassembly, and how we're going to button that back up and kind of go from there. Okay, so we're back on the inside again, and what I ended up doing, just for full disassembly, was the C-pillar out on that side, or loose I should say. I didn't take it fully out. I did take the kick panel off down there, so that was taken off. Obviously the two kind of fasteners, the clips up there, and then I did take loose this C-pillar as well, although really I probably didn't need to. It did give me a little extra wiggle room. If you're reaching in the way that I am, kind of going up and around, it's a huge pain and you're gonna scrape up your arm and stuff. Mine's not too bad, but definitely got rubbed raw. If your window opens, you're gonna be able to just reach in from the bed and get in probably with very little effort. So definitely, if you have a fixed window truck, that's not gonna help you. All the Raptors have sliding windows, so if you have a Raptor, you're gonna be able to slide it open and close, no problem. Unless yours is broken like mine. So one other thing that I wanna just mention that'll be helpful, because I had to go searching for it after I put the new light in, is the connector location. The light connection comes in roughly right here. So if you look at your rear sliding window, to the right of the bar, and just barely to the right of the bar, or around the location of the bar, is where the two connectors meet up and actually connect in there. So if you're reaching up in there, I actually started reaching up all throughout over there, not remembering that it was over here where the light connected, and was searching and searching and searching for probably 5 minutes until I came over here and found it. So I'm gonna go ahead and button all this back up. It's just a 7mm bolt on either side right there, snapping the cover back in and snapping the clips in. We'll be all done in here. And I've got to give my rear window a thorough wipe down too, because I've got a bunch of grease and oil and stuff all over from my arms. But we shall do that and then reconvene whenever we're ready to reassemble the light on the outside of the truck. Cab lights are going to be kind of my next step before I put the screws and everything back in. Haven't grabbed those O-rings yet, but these came in the mail so far. I ordered quite a few different varieties of T15 bulbs just so I can have some on hand because I didn't have a bunch. But what I'm going to end up putting in is these Philips 921 WLED, which also fits 904, 906, 912, which is what these trucks are, and 916 form factors. So it's a T15 form factor bulb. I got some Sylvania ones too, some of the higher end Sylvania ones, but I think these ones are going to fit really well, and they've got quite a few little LED surface mount diodes on there. Should be pretty darn bright. And the other good thing is that they, I think that the way that these are set up, they're going to reflect pretty well off the reflectors. So we'll see. But I'm going to go ahead and get these into the truck. So we'll go up there onto the cab and show you what's up. Go up here on top of the cab and everything. And the bulb install is really, really simple. I mean, if you have the cab light pulled out like we do right now, super simple. All you have to do is turn to the left. And the new light came with brand new bulbs. I'm going to go ahead and take these out and throw in these LED ones here. Don't know if these are going to be polarity sensitive, although it looks like they have 4 contacts, so they shouldn't be, theoretically. And throw that one in. And this one, same deal. I'll throw in as well. Now there is one thing I'm kind of concerned about with these, and that's well, number one, I got to make sure the polarity is right, but number two is whether or not they're going to fade on and off nicely, or they're going to flicker and stuff when they do. So we'll see how that works out. If they don't fade on and off, because the cab light does fade on and off whenever you open up the doors, then that's going to be a problem. So see what happens. So here's the cab lights in all their glory. I apologize, I can't get a better shot. They're super bright. There we go. And you can see what they look like. So nice LED hue, matches all the other LEDs on the truck. Matches the fact that these are LED. And you can see whenever they fade off, I had the door shut so it would fade off for us, that they do flicker a little bit. In real life, you can see it a little bit too. It's not as pronounced as what you just saw on camera. But we'll see how that goes over time. I'm hoping that doesn't really affect the life of the bulbs, but again, we'll see. Worst case, I'm out a set of $15, $20 bulbs. So at this point, all I need is those screws, the O-rings for the screws. That's still to come. I still haven't figured out what the size is even yet, but everything else is good to go now. So we'll button this back up once we get those O-rings, and I'll let you know what size those are. So whenever you do this job yourself, you'll know too. All right, we're back and we should be ready to wrap up our job now. One thing I want to mention is that I did end up swapping out the Philips bulbs that I put in the truck with some of these Sylvania Zevo version super bright LEDs. I got these as part of the kind of package of a whole bunch of different varieties of LED that I ordered. These are a lot brighter, and being that the lights that these are going to be used for is to light up the bed and everything at night, figured the brighter the better, within reason, because it's not going to blind anybody behind me since it's not used while driving. So got those, swapped them out. Definitely recommend those. Same thing with the flickering while dimming and everything, but that's to be expected, and we'll see how that goes long term. But as far as the screws go, you can see I have some O-rings on here now. The old seals are right here. And if you look at them in the palm of my hand, you can tell that they're just trashed. Hopefully on camera you can see that. They're super compressed, super dried out, ripped whenever I took one of them off. But the new ones, I just got some, the O-ring size ended up being -007, number 7 O-ring, or -size 7 O-ring. And these are just some little EPDM ones that I got, so they should be super weather resistant and everything. I threw some Krytox grease on them just to keep them lubricated whenever I'm turning them in so they don't twist or warp or anything like that. And we should be ready to just tighten these suckers down and have a finished install. So I'm going to go ahead and head over to the truck and we'll do that process and see what the finished product looks like. Here we are with the finished product. I got the screws just tightened down by hand. One thing I'm going to recommend is, because the new lights have such a big foam gasket, it's super thick, it compresses a lot. We're compressing the O-rings on the screws as well. Let it sit for a few days and double check your tightness after at least a few days. You should be good to go to drive and everything, but definitely double check that, because as the gaskets have what's called compression set in, they're going to compress. They're going to want to stay naturally at a little bit more of a compressed state, and they'll essentially, the screws will feel looser whenever you tighten them down than they did just now whenever we tightened them down to start with. So definitely keep that in mind with these ones, especially with how thick of a gasket they have. It's super low density, but it is super thick compared to the other ones. So you can see the new light installed, looks beautiful. Way better than the super yellowed factory one that was on there. And again, this is a factory Ford part. It's just a super nice refresh to have the clear polycarbonate light again. So if you have any questions about the install or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. I will make sure to address as necessary. And one final look, just for giggles, before we finish up. That's what the light looks like in all of its glory lit up. So with that, again, I want to thank you all for watching. Hope to see you in the next video. Take care.